Welcome to Gold Digging, episode 4. Never thought I'd get that far. It's my new weekly show where I try to unearth some golden nuggets from LinkedIn's leading marketing experts. It's bite-sized content, so all that really means is I promise it'll be under 15 minutes. It promises to be topical, challenging, and I'll ask some tough questions. We're very lucky today. A good friend of mine from Clubhouse days, we thought we'd be the next Phil and Holly, which we probably still can be after had a debacle with the queuing for the Queen's funeral. She is Jessica Ross, founder and CEO of Smashtag Social, a marketing agency that creates content that your mum would probably hate. She found a lot of online fame as she was sick and tired of bland corporate marketing that's often seen on LinkedIn, which we know a lot about. And Smashtag Social as an agency is a breath of fresh air. It's supporting companies in both the B2B and B2C space. And obviously what you'll find today is that Jess is not afraid to mince her words when it comes to sharing her thoughts. So it promises to be quite an interesting little chat. Jess, what's got your goat?
Oh, right. Okay, here we go. So for me, it's everything to do with pink tax and pink marketing, and the fact that it even has a name bothers me. Essentially, it's the stereotypical way that brands and services as well are actually marketing products to women at a higher price just because it's either pink, purple, it's got a cutesy name, or they've put like a floral citrusy scent with it, compared to exactly the same product for men, which is usually 2.5 times less.
Is that a real thing? I've always heard of pink tax, but obviously you're wearing pink today, trying to obviously protest. Pink tax is a real thing, is it?
It is. So I mean, there's been like a whole ton of studies done around this, and I'm definitely not the kind of research level. I'm very much I'm just gonna sit and swear and moan about it until someone does it. Just get up on my soapbox. The most common and easy way to spot where it is, if you're not sure, I know you walk around supermarkets a lot, Brett, is it go to the razor aisle and literally look at a lot of the razors. They are identical, and physically the product essentially is doing the same thing, but because one of them is fat and chunky and blue and sturdy and durable, and the other one is really thin and dainty, and it's like, you know, spa breeze and relaxing scents, it's just like so much more money, and it blows my mind.
Question for you though, playing devil's advocate, right? Men generally shave every day, every couple of days. If you're like me with bum fluff, you still do it once a week, unfortunately. So men shave more frequently. So a woman will generally shave about once a week as a generalization. So is that not basic supply and demand, economies of scale? You know, they produce more, the production line is more efficient. Isn't it just an outcome of you don't use razors as often enough, so the price has to be higher?
So I think that this is the problem. A lot of the whole pink tax and everything to do with it is so outdated, in that it is wrapped up in all of those stereotypes about what men do and what women do, and actually that whole massive gap in the middle now is just being completely lost. And you've got some fantastic gender neutral, gender diverse brands from every different industry coming forward now, where actually it doesn't matter which one you are, because ultimately we're all just people. And some women shave every day, some women shave once a month, some don't bother at all. Likewise, I've got male friends who will literally, they're like shaving their chest, shaving their legs, shaving their arms, and then some that are like, nope, I'm gonna, you know, grow my beard until I look like Albus Dumbledore. So yeah.
Does it come down to another sweeping generalization? I do apologize, women, but my experience of having a wife for 14 years, having an 11-year-old daughter, is that you like to shop a bit more than men, and therefore the frequency of shop. Is it just that, you know, people get away with the pink tax because women just like to buy things?
So there's definitely the argument around, actually, and especially now with online and social media, women are in front of a lot more of those things, so therefore a lot of that is geared towards it. But again, it's steeped in those stereotypical views about what women want. I mean, I've got friends who would very much prefer to have the kind of scents and things that men get. You know, you've got your nice musky sandalwoods, and, you know, you've got your nice wooden bottles and that amber glass, whereas for us it's all like bright purple, and it's all clear, so you can see all the colors and the glitter in it. And it's like, actually, why should we be defined just based on what our gender is. And I think one of the biggest parts of this, which less around the marketing and more just about government, if you look at the fact that it took until January of last year for the government to abolish VAT on sanitary products, like that blows my goddamn mind. I don't even know why we're paying for them at all.
Yeah.
Why should I have to spend so much money for something I have absolutely zero control over? Men don't have to do that. So why should women? I know that now, luckily, they're available in schools and hospitals and those things for free, which is brilliant. And that's a wonderful step forward. But Jesus Christ, I don't have a choice as to whether or not I menstruate.
No, this is true, actually. And obviously, my daughter's reached a certain age now. So, our expenditure on said sanitary towels has gone through the roof because we're having to buy twice as many and stuff. But where does the power lie? Because I don't see women pulling away from these products. I don't see them going, I'm going to find a cheaper option. I'm going to make a stand and not engage with that brand anymore. And to your point, obviously, is it just the products, or is it sort of social media and the way people communicate about these brands as well that's still a problem?
It's a bit of both. I think one of the biggest issues, and I mean, I'll stick with the sanitary route because I think it's a good example. I think specifically on that side of things, a lot of the changes in the products actually available have been less around gender specific or even the whole pink cutesy thing. It's been more around being more sustainable, being more eco-friendly, being more reusable. So it feels like on that's the general journey that all of those products, similar with razors as well, it's all about less disposable waste and more trying to conserve everything for the planet. But ultimately the other side doesn't really seem to be looked at. And I think realistically, what options do we have? Men seem to have a lot more choices. If you want to go for something else that's cheaper, you can do that. We don't have that option. If you look at the most absolute basic product available for men and women, like not the ones with all the bells and whistles on, I guarantee you there was like the Asda or whatever, there will still be a price difference in them.
So where does that less sort of lie with? Is that marketing teams and innovation where they're just not got it on the agenda? Is it supermarkets, etc., putting a higher margin on it? Is it the fact consumers will pay for it? Because pink tax feels to me like it's a sum of parts, right? Which is everyone's slightly to blame. But
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, you got to look at supermarkets in terms of, you look at the categories, everything's divided into men and women. So if you are a brand wanting to come in and challenge the market with something that is more gender fluid, where does your product sit? Like physically, where do they put you on the shelves? And until there's sort of enough of them, but then what do? Do you create a whole separate place in the shop that's like, oh, if you're not one or the other, you can go here? Like, that's just ridiculous. We shouldn't have it anyway. But I think definitely it is marketers, because yes, people seem to be having these conversations, but there hasn't been any concrete change in years. And you can see on TV, the adverts, they all seem to be saying the right thing, but when it comes to concrete actions, they're not doing enough.
You know what, it's actually quite an interesting take on that, actually. It's obviously that things are merchandised separately, but actually, to your point, razors should just be in one part of the store. Because I'm thinking about my local Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco's. Actually, they're in slightly different aisles, and the deodorants in different aisles, and the hair products are in different aisles. It does feel a little bit strange, because actually, you very rarely interweave our shopping. So we might go as a couple, we might go individually. You'd expect it to be in the same field of vision, right? If you need deodorant,
well, yeah, and you do. If you've ever done it as a couple, you are kind of jumping from ours. Oh, I need to go and get my ones off down that end. Oh, you need to go this way. And the thing is, your example of the razors. Why on earth does a razor know if it's being used on a man or a woman?
True. But interesting. I remember a wonderful marketer I used to know, and
wasn't me then.
Used to know. You're the wonderful marketer I know now. And he said to me that it starts very early on. He said when kids are kids, the boys will play with boys' toys, and the girls will play with girls' toys or boys' toys. So do you think it starts all the way down at that social level where boys are taught to be boys and to not like pink and not like dolls and to not wear skirts, and which obviously we're seeing that stigma sort of break free. Do you think that is right back at then, it starts there and then naturally progresses into, well, of course we'll need different razors?
Yeah, 100%. You know, you think about ultimately when parents are going shopping for their kids' bedding, what colours they paint their bedroom, the toys they give them growing up. You know, those are all conscious decisions that the parents make, right? Not the children. And at some point, as we see, children decide to go a different route because they've got enough sort of transparency in their lives that they've either seen it somewhere else or they just feel it, that they want to try something different. But ultimately, it's kind of self-imposed. Kids don't really have a choice. So realistically, it has to, I think our generation's definitely making that change. But again, kids' toys, why aren't they gender neutral? Like it's, and again, if you look at toys for girls and toys for boys, guarantee you a construction set for I want to be an engineer when I grow up will be half the price of the female I want to be a ballerina when I grow up. Guarantee you there'll be a price difference.
Do you know I'm going to go in the supermarket and watch?
Yeah, please chat. You'll be like, Jess, you're fucking wrong.
So obviously smash tag social, which is content that your mum or dad would probably hate if we're along that lines. It could start there, right? So obviously your business.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll probably I should elaborate as to why it says your mum. So there's two aspects. The first is like I growing up, I was that person that went your mum. And it was like it was an insult, right? But that's kind of part of the irony of what we do. But also it's because every single piece of my content my mum hates. So that's where it came from. And as somebody whose dad is a complete waste of space, I didn't feel the need to actually give him any space in my business.
Love it. I love it. So obviously what's quite nice actually is we've had a few guests and obviously they talk about their services, they talk about what they offer and what they hate. But it's quite nice that something that's got your go isn't necessarily you trying to sell something, but I guess it does flow through into your business about being mindful of who you're communicating to, how you're communicating, not doing bland content, not fitting the norms, trying to break through stigma, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that it's most obvious when you look at like B2B, because actually traditionally a lot of those companies and what they share online has been dull as dishwater. And it's been so bland and it's been so vanilla. You know, you think about like accountants or lawyers firms, you know, because they just think it all needs to be really factual and, you know, specific and educational, that there's no room for fun there at all. And I think it's for us, it's just about letting, you know, companies understand and know that there's different ways to share content. And ultimately, just because they might be dull as dishwater doesn't mean that they have to be dull as dishwater. Can I go and get that? Because that's my husband's birthday present.
You do that.
Sorry.
You go and I'll tell the audience goodbye. So that was Jessica Ross, who has a new puppy, has a new husband. Life's a little bit crazy, but I think she's done a wonderful job of opening up a conversation. So when this goes on to LinkedIn, I think it will create a really wonderful debate. So hope you enjoyed episode 4, and we look forward to episode 5 next week.